start off our first question. What's your take on piracy?
As far as
how it hurts the industry, how it holds it back, and what can be done to keep it growing or keep preventing it,
or keep the industry afloat and addressing the issue.
Well, my first answer is I don't like it. My take on piracy is that it's negative. And the second question is how it's affecting the industry. It's really hurting it. I mean, all the way up to Japan itself. I mean, it's a global recession that we're in, but also they're experiencing, cutbacks and layoffs too. So it's a trickle-down effect. And the problem is that, like with years ago with Metallica and Napster, for example, where they sued Napster for, people were downloading their music for free and so on and so forth, and now iTunes has sort of helped settle that a little bit, or helped that out. But the difference is, of course, that in anime, all we have is the product. We can't tour to make up the money. So unlike bands who can tour and make money that way. So all we have is this thing, and sometimes it sounds like people in production, like people who have a stake in it, like, I direct and write and act in it, so I have a lot to do with it, but it trickles, it's for the fans too. Everybody's involved, and I've said before, it's an interesting time to be an anime fan. It's a great time to be an anime fan because it seems like cons are popping up, new cons popping up every year, and new fans, it's growing and growing. Anime fandom right now seems like it's almost at a peak, yet to be in the industry itself is very hard, so you have this, it's not balanced at all. So, and I think maybe the reason is because anime is so accessible. That's why there's so many fans. And of course, the problem is a lot of these fans have become fans due to maybe what they don't realize is really hurting the very industry that they're just getting into. So, and in terms of what can be done about it, that's $1 million question. I'd love to know what other people said about this because I'd like to take their answer if they have one. I guess, if nothing else, then surely these new cons that keep cropping up that I just talked about, surely it can be used to educate the very people who might be prone to innocently or seemingly innocently downloading these things. And we can just tell them, oh, no, I got it wrong. We could just tell them that, the downloading for free is, in addition to being stealing, it's also hurting the industry.
Now, do you see a different trend from, as far as piracy was, let's say 15 years ago, back when it was the VHS fan sub tape, to the new digital era as it is now?
Well, like everything else, it's just gotten a lot easier to do. And so, therefore, it's gotten worse, meaning more and more thievery.
Sorry, that was the question. That was one of the questions you were going to ask, but we'll let them have the next question here.
That's okay. Okay, we really had a question for you about Dragon Ball Z Kai. I know that was a newer series that came out based on the original Dragon Ball. How do you feel about it being cut so short compared to the original series? Like the Sansai was about 40 episodes, but now it got cut down so much.
I think it's great. I've talked to a lot of the other actors on the show, and you have this streamlined story that there's not a lot of fat to be, the fat's been trimmed. So now, instead of two people on a mountaintop telling each other what they're going to do for 40 episodes, you have a tighter narrative, a tighter story. And I think, attention spans are only getting shorter and shorter with every year anyway. So I think this actually speaks to that new generation of, hopefully, of fans. And I think they are big fans because I think on Nicktoons right now, it's like the highest rated, and they're playing it all the time. So I don't know which came first, but I'm glad that people are watching either way. So.
How does it feel to go back into anime voice roles after 10 years after its previous release?
Well, Fullmetal Alchemist was like that, and Dragon Ball Z was like that. Dragon Ball Z even more because
it was much
so far away.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like a really long summer, and then you go back to school, and it's surreal. And it's funny how after you hear a voice reference and you go back into it, you just remember. You remember right away, and it feels really good. And actually, I think the other thing about Dragon Ball Z Kai, and maybe even Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, is that the caliber, the technology that we use to even record it has changed so much. Versus we had a 3/4 deck before. We're obviously not using tape anymore. It's all digital, as you said. So you've got that, and you've got everyone's been acting now for I mean, those people started in 98 or 9 at Funimation, so you have 10 years worth of chops that you've honed in on. So I think the product is better for it.
Okay. For the original Dragon Ball Z series, I know this is kind of going far back, but there was rumors that Funimation literally just picked guys out at random. Was that true at all, or
pick guys? How do you mean?
Like right off the street. There were ghosts and stories. We just wanted to see.
Well, first of all, I wonder if did those rumors come out of the quality of performance? I hope not. But I will say that first of all, the people ask, how do I get into voice acting? Because there are more fans and more cons and stuff. And of course, now it's much harder because now everybody wants to do it. So the talent pool is. I think the Funimation actor database is, I think, 300 or 400 people, whereas when they started Dragon Ball Z, it was very small. As far as actually taking people off the street, I hope not. I hope they didn't grab the hostess from Chili's and say, "Hey, quick, do this." I certainly hope. I know that everybody, at least the major characters were all they were all actors, local actors anyway. I had a friend who said, "Hey, they're doing these cartoons in Fort Worth. Do you want to audition?" That's how it was supposed to be. Before I knew what it was called, anything, and I said, "Sure." And it just became one of many auditions that week, and it turned out to become this huge thing that we all thought was just, this small job in a little bank building in Fort Worth. So,
in your opinion, what do these conventions do for the industry and the fans and the perceived culture?
I know for me, recording these properties, these series, it's very solitary. You have 3 people in a room doing, one actor going in at a time. The actors very rarely even get to meet each other. And so you have the engineer, the director, and the actor in the room, and they do this thing for a few hours, then they leave, and it's over. So coming here, it's kind of like the theater, for me, it's kind of the theater part of the voiceover acting. So it's great to see the people who watch it and like it and buy it, because like I said, you're just in a little room hoping that, I've said before that directing anime is kind of like, or directing anything really, is kind of like, you have the baby, you teach the baby grows up, and then you send it out into the world, and you hope that it makes friends, meaning that you hope people like, the show. So it's great to come out and see the people who do. But that wasn't a complete question. The other part of it was, how do you think it affects the industry to have these conventions, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we discussed before, the piracy thing is big. If that word can get out that illegal downloads are hurting the industry, that's the greatest thing it could contribute now, I think. And then underneath that, I guess it would be just sort of the feeling of community. You have the feeling of well, it sounds kind of corny, but kind of a familial or family togetherness that, we're the people who make it, you're the people who watch it, we like it too. So it's just kind of great to all converge in one place and talk about the thing that people like. So I think it's good. And by the way, once again, if people can put a face to the voice actor or the writer or the director, and maybe they'll be less likely to steal from them. Yeah, there's always that. So.
From all the anime series you worked on, which voice actor do you have the most fun working with?
Oh, wow. Well, I think I've directed for almost 7 years now. That's a lot of people. And I'm trying to remember. The problem is that so many of them, I see so much that they're, I guess it is, I will say that whether it's theater or film or whatever, I know that if you're friends with them already, when they come in to record, you have a kind of shorthand because you're friends already. So it's easier to direct them, I guess, because you say, no, that was bad. That was good. Let's try it one more time or whatever. But my favorite voice actor to work with, or actress, it would just be impossible to say. And one of the things you learn as a director is the art of diplomacy. So, I'd hate to commit that to anything permanent. So, like my children, I love them all. If I had children.
Okay. So we've been doing this kind of documentary here. We're asking other people, as far as fans, questions that when we videotape it, kind of is a way to show people who aren't familiar with this culture what it's like from a fan's perspective, and also to show fans who have that perspective but haven't been to a con, the con perspective. So when I ask this question, I guess, not to sound too vague or too easy, talk to us about the influx of Japanese culture in the West. Is it growing? And what is it about it that is so appealing?
Well, it is growing. You need only look as far as whether it's a Speed Racer movie, whether it's the Dragon Ball Z movie, Hulkberg tickets, whether it's Astro Boy. It's clearly making its way into popular culture more and more, which once again might be the reason for these cons popping up more and more as well. So I would say that it as an art form, I think, is being taken more seriously. Spirited Away is a good example. I think it is happening more and more, and that's great. I'm glad that it is. And I think the reason why, I think in the West, in America at least, I think we are so conditioned to seeing drawings that talk, animated TV shows, and assume that it's there for us to laugh. Like whether it's Looney Tunes or Tom and Jerry, everybody grew up watching those. I did. And I love those. But I think this offers something else. It offers a meaningful story or fantasy. It offers a kind of animated entertainment that we often don't make here. And therefore it's very unique and imaginative, and the artwork is amazing. And I think it's just something that offers something that we don't typically get here. So therefore it's valuable.
Okay, kind of going back with the animation again. Anime versus American cartoons. Which one do you prefer to work with, or do you prefer yourself?
Ooh, well, they each meet a different need for me. And actually, you have some anime that is funny, of course, too. Shin-Chan would be one of them, or whatever. Sort of frog down the line, but for me, I tend to like because a lot gets lost in translation. Like when it first comes out in Japan, they're catering to their Japanese audience, and so when we translate it, sometimes our Western jokes, like for example, maybe we made some jokes that would cater more to Western ears, but maybe those jokes just don't have to be as good. Hopefully they are, but you never know because so much has to be revamped in a comedy. So for me, I love when it comes to movies. I love scary movies and funny movies. I love comedies and horror movies, and those. I'll watch them all the time. So I guess for me it would be I like both. I like American. I like funny American cartoons, and I like deeper sort of dramatic anime from Japan.
Okay. So this is going off on a personal question now. What is the best anime production your best experience with an anime production you've worked with? Like as far as the story or experience?
Oh wow. This kind of is into your favorite actor.
Yeah, we're asking for production. We're not asking for just your favorite title that you personally had the best experience working on.
As an actor or director?
Let's do both. Yeah.
Okay. As a director, it might have been, well, I'll tell you one that one comes to mind. I only did, I think, 4 or 5 of these episodes, but growing up as a kid, I watched a lot of anime that I didn't know was anime. Like I watched G-Force Battle of the Planets, I watched Voltron, I watched Robotech, and I watched Star Blazers too. And the creator of Star Blazers also did a show called The Galaxy Railways. And I did 4 or 5 episodes of that, and I could sort of see the link between the two, and it was surreal for me to think, wow, I'm not eating cereal watching this in the morning, I'm making it. So that was kind of an eye-opening moment for me then, because I realized the history and what, my little part of it as I was contributing to that. So I thought that was really special. But, so there's that. There's I enjoyed working on Kōmoto because that was a show that to me was most like a Looney Tunes cartoon, which I loved growing up. I was also, of course, Babbitt on that show. But yeah, down the line, what you tend to do as a director is you try to look for that thing in the show that brings you in, that thing that makes it special to you, and then it makes you, love it and continue on it, and it sort of pulls you through it. But as an actor, I would be foolish not to say Gluttony and Fullmetal Alchemist, only because I really enjoyed doing it. I love playing villains.
You have to play a very creepy sounding kind of guy.
Villains, they're so much fun because we're not, at least most of us, aren't villains in real life. and also they have usually the best lines. Gluttony excluded, of course. He says very little. But I would say Gluttony, if for the only reason that Gluttony, really, that character is what allows me to go these dimensions. That's the thing that people, I guess, know me most for, and people want me to come out for. So really, whatever it is that's the vehicle that allows me to come out to these cons, because I'm really enjoying it. This year I've gone to more than ever before, and I'm really enjoying the con experience. And that character, Gluttony, is really what got me here, so Gluttony.
Cool. Another personal question. As a kid, did you see yourself even going into anime, or did you have some completely different idea?
I wanted to be a funeral director. Actually, as a kid, my second grade teacher, I told her, I said, I want to act and direct one day. And she reminded me of that. I saw her not too long ago, and she told me that. So I didn't know what form it would take, but I knew that I wanted to be in some form of entertainment, and talked about, the fact that, it just so happened to be in literally my backyard, Funimation, it just kind of lined up and worked out that way. But I'm really happy to be doing, I knew I always wanted to be something related to entertainment, and this is the avenue. So I really feel fortunate to be doing that. So.